A common topic among different gaming communities is nostalgia. If you do a quick search on YouTube, you'll find that thousands of videos are directed towards people who feel nostalgic about some game or something in their favorite games. While it is definitely a fun ride to watch those, nostalgia may not be exactly what most people feel towards their gaming memories. Now, as a certified Brazilian guy, even though I didn't put this in here, so thanks YouTube, way to go. I can tell you that there is a Portuguese word that describes it better: saudade. Saudade is a feeling caused by the distance or absence of someone or something, a sentimental memory of someone or something that may or not be found again. So how is it any different from nostalgia? While both carry a bittersweet meaning, nostalgia has a melancholic connotation to it, and has even been considered a psychological illness in the past. It implies that whatever has been gone is completely lost, and can't be relieved, you can't go back to it. Saudade, on the other hand, has a hopeful meaning to it. It can refer to both someone or something that you can or can't go back to, regardless if it's inaccessible or not. Saudade brings happy memories and warm feelings, unlike the sadness that nostalgia carries with it. While nostalgia brings despair and hopelessness, making it seem like it's over, that all good things stay in the past and must come to an end, Saudade brings motivation and hope, filling you with determination to carry forward and create new good memories. Better times will come. Feeling saudade over things that won't come back is choosing to focus on the good memories, the love felt, instead of dreading the impossibility to go back. It is the cliché quote, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." Or in Twitch terms, while nostalgia is Pepe Hands, saudade is Phil Strongman. Okay, that might sound like complete brain rot to some, but it is an easy and good visual explanation for it. You get the idea. Saudade is a Portuguese word that comes from the Latin word solitas, which is a declension of the word solitate, the Latin word for solitude. While some may say that saudade has no translation at all in other languages, this is partially a myth, as there are words used with similar meaning in similar contexts, such as Sehnsucht in German and Koichi in Japanese. In English, the closest parallels would be yearning or longing, but these words don't carry nearly the same weight as saudade. None of the parallel words from other languages carry the same depth of meanings and usage as Portuguese's saudade. Heavily present in literature and songs written in Portuguese, saudade is an incredibly important word in Portuguese-speaking countries. From the days of being a topic of the songs sung by the troubadours in Portugal in the late half of the Reconquista period, to now being a recurring theme in all types of Lusophone media, regardless of the differences between them. Saudade is deeply rooted in all Portuguese-speaking cultures, and it couldn't be different. The former colonies learned it from Portugal, and no other country knows the meaning of this word more than them. In 1557, Sebastião I was crowned King of Portugal, at the age of 3, after his grandfather João III died. He was the King of Portugal for 21 years, until in 1578 he supposedly died in Morocco, after a fair war effort to help Abdallah Mohammed retrieve his position as Sultan of Morocco. With the death of Sebastião, Portugal went through a succession crisis in 1580. That weakened their autonomy and led to the formation of the Iberian Union, in which the Spanish crown controlled the territories of Spain and Portugal. This fall from grace left the Portuguese in disbelief. Theories were spread around that Sebastião didn't die, that he would come back and reclaim the throne and the independence of Portugal, that maybe it was a plot by the Spanish to take over their country and the king was being held somewhere. But he would come back. He would save them. For this reason, Sebastião was dubbed the Longed. People wanted him to come back. They hoped that one day he would be seen again arriving at the shores of Portugal. They waited and waited, and he never came back. Saudade was the only word to describe what they felt. Saudade of the glory days of Portugal being the #1 world potency, a kingdom with lands across the world. Eventually, Portugal reclaimed their independence. Over the centuries, the kingdom's power waned, first with the rise of the English Empire, then with the Napoleonic Wars. But the feeling still remained: saudade. The good times were gone, and there was still hope that they would come back, but the warm feeling of remembering their legacy was all that they could hold on to. Even though Sebastian was logically dead long ago, symbolically he was still the hope of the Portuguese people. His return was a symbol, a herald of the reclaiming of the former glory, of the good days of the nation, of their good memories, a symbol of saudade, a bittersweet symbol of hope for them to carry on. The bittersweet feeling of the word of losing something that can't be reached anymore, but is remembered with love, is something that most people can probably relate to when thinking about their favorite games. When the original Xbox servers were going to be shut down in 2010, taking Halo 2 with them, Microsoft made it so anyone still logged in could still play, but no one could enter again. About 500 players refused to leave and kept their Xboxes on. Slowly their numbers dwindled, until only one lobby existed with 14 players, then 2, then 1, and then none. When the same thing happened to the Halo 3 servers on the Xbox 360 in 2022, players gathered again for a final goodbye. Halo players can never go back to the times when they would come home from school or work and boot up their favorite game and play with their friends. They will never be able to feel the same rage that made them throw their Xbox controllers into the wall, only to regret it because those things are extremely expensive. They will never feel a Spartan teabagging their faces the same way that they felt. Maybe ignore these last two parts. They can try to replicate it by creating private servers or whatnot, but those good memories will remain in the past and be remembered in a good light, and that's okay. Saudade not just about the game itself, also about the time of their lives, their feelings, their experiences up until that point. They miss what remains as only a fragment of time in their memories, that they can never return to, but they can still smile by looking back on them. Like Halo players, many players of Blizzard games can relate to the warm memories that won't come back but makes them happy to remember them. They feel saudade about their favorite World of Warcraft expansion, their favorite Diablo game, the times when Hearthstone was still on the top of the game and the king of Twitch, of Overwatch before the Ground Zero season rolled a boulder off the hill, creating the snowball that will lead to the current day.
Does this mean Overwatch is back?
No.
Of StarCraft, when it was still a thing. Of Heroes of the Storm before they abandoned it because it didn't meet their insane expectations. And no, I still didn't get over that. And before the company image was completely destroyed by the revelations of how their workplace was. It doesn't matter how many official or private servers of an expansion may come out. It doesn't matter how many times they remake an old game properly, or how many modes trying to replicate older times they release. It will never be the same because it just can't. But that's okay, even if not perfect. Being able to play the old games brings back the warm memories as if they happened yesterday. If World of Warcraft Classic servers taught us something, it's that players can definitely find joy in playing an older state of a game again. It may have not been just a game that they missed, Like Halo, the circumstances of the era mattered, and they aren't perfectly replicable anymore. But saying that word again, being able to experience the game again, even though it's not exactly the way that it was, and being able to find people who share the same passion and now they're going through the same process, makes even the most pessimistic player smile, reveling in the good memories of those times. For example, every time I listen to the song, it reminds me of sitting in True Shot Lodge, the Hunter's Class Hall from Legion, just enjoying my time. It evokes this feeling of saudade, but I know that I can never replicate those times. It's not just the place that I miss. It's also not just how the gameplay of the class felt at the time. I miss seeing all the hunters running around testing their builds. I miss the pure experience of that time, of not having everything figured out, of still discovering the map, of being excited to learn what would be the next patch, of talking to my friends and enjoying my time playing with them, of eating my fries and drinking soda during the raid breaks, of losing my mind over Timmy not using his rebukes on casters. Yes, I still remember it, Timmy. I remember it all. And I still have your address and I know that you still live there. I'm just kidding. I don't even remember your real name, Timmy. And I would never do anything crazy. Or would I? These are things that I can never go back to. For one, the place is empty now. And even if I was playing on a server that tried to replicate that time, I would have everything about my class figured out. Know the entire island like the back of my hand, know what comes next and optimize every possible thing. Also, no matter what I do, I cannot expect to play again with all my friends from that time. First off, none of them still play the game. And second, some of them are even dead, so there is no fixing that. The purity, the enjoyment, and the clean state of mind of playing the expansion for the first time will not be there anymore. That feeling may have been lightning trapped in a bottle, but it doesn't mean that reminding of it saddens me. Instead, it makes me glad that I was there and that I still remember these stories. To this day, they make me smile. The lightning may not be there anymore, but the sparks remain in my solitude. Lightning never strikes the same place twice is an old saying that by now is known to be untrue. In fact, lightning becomes more prompt to hit the same place due to the attraction between the bolts and the place that was hit. This is the case for the Call of Duty series. With 23 main titles released in 20 years, the game has struck lightning multiple times, both with positively and negatively received games. The series not only has a serious case of player base fatigue, but also has many games in it that some may associate with the feeling of saudade. For example, Call of Duty 2, while not experienced by a huge chunk of the current player base of the series, has been often regarded by those who played it during its prime as one of the best installments in the series. But Call of Duty 2 over time lost its position. Not because people suddenly didn't like it, but because the four juggernauts of the series took its place. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was the turning point of the series towards Modern Warfare. And it is also a fan favorite held in high regard. The same can be said about its sequel, Modern Warfare 2, an undeniably influential game. Both are widely considered some of the best games in the series. Along with Modern Warfare games, Call of Duty Black Ops and Black Ops 2 are also considered by many as best in the series material. While Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops and Black Ops 2 are obviously the series' big four, that doesn't mean that there aren't players that cherish their memories of other games in the series. Some players did enjoy the jetpack era and hold those games in high regards. Others have some good memories attached to some older, less popular games in the series, such as the old console exclusives. And some already have feelings of saudade towards some more recent installments, such as Modern Warfare 2019, and its revival of the series going back to its roots, and the release of Warzone, that transformed for many the YouTube redacted event into good times with the boys. Due to the series' yearly release model, there are constant decreases in quality and/or player interest as new games are released. Developers are pushed to the limit, with intense crunching, resulting in inevitable bad choices, mistakes and oversights, and players can only be excited about a new game every year for so long before it starts to get old. This makes the Call of Duty player base particularly prone towards Saudade. Good memories of better times, of better games, of the old lobbies and the friends made along the way, of the experience of relieving themselves of their life's problems as they logged into the game, of that period of their life and its special feeling.
30 seconds in the DZ!
Abort! Turn us around! Turn us around now!
And that is what motivates some players into trying to revive some of the older CODs on PC with their own private servers. An example of Saudade pushing them towards something. The time in which a player first experiences a game is an important element to how they perceive it. This is especially true to the games that they play as kids. While the quality of the game may be an important factor for how they remember it, even some of the worst games can be remembered in a positive light if they are attached to a good time in the player's life. How many times have you looked for a game that you play as a kid, and as an adult you only think to yourself, oh wow, this game was not as good as I remember? Even if it's not the case of the game being completely terrible, in our memory some qualities are enhanced beyond what was even possible during that era. Graphics, sounds, animations, and even gameplay responsiveness stays much better in our minds than it actually was when we were playing the game. Simpler games such as flash games are particularly prone to this phenomenon, as they were the first experiences with games for many people. And logically, that means that their perspective of game quality was much different from what it is now. So everything looked and felt way more impressive at the time than it may seem like now. The first game experiences that people had will always be different, as the circumstances that lead them to discover their specific first game are very unique and personal. For me, the first game that I remember playing is Donkey Kong Country at a party place arcade machine. The reason why it piqued my attention was because of Donkey Kong, as I've always loved gorillas. And yes, it's been 8 years and I still didn't get over it.
Everywhere I go, I see his face. I just really miss him.
I miss you, Harambe. Having no idea as to how games worked at all, I remember slowly picking up the controls, the rhythm, and the feeling of the game. Eventually reaching a point where whenever a classmate or friend invited me to a party at that place, I would spend most of the time playing Donkey Kong Country, fascinated by its cartoony world and wacky animations and enemy designs. With no save games available at that place, I slowly progressed over time, and I remember getting stuck in the minecart level, as not only it is probably one of the hardest levels in that game, the stick and the buttons of the arcade machine were completely horrendous, making the jumps and controlling the cart 10 times harder. My favorite levels were the Rhino and Swordfish secret levels. And guess what song to this day gets me the feeling of Saudade? The experience of learning about games for the first time ever is magical, and can't be replicated ever again. Revisiting any game with a perspective formed over the years isn't as fun as playing them for the first time with no expectations, in a pure state of mind. But revisiting them, remembering being a child, and reliving these precious memories invokes the feeling of saudade, reminds us of who we are, how far we've come, and reminds us why we should keep pushing forward. While nostalgia is dangerous, as it can bring us down and demotivate us from continuing, saudade can push us forward, motivate us to bring our childhood dreams and favorite things back to life, or inspire us to create completely new things based on what we loved. While nostalgia gets us nowhere and keeps us stuck in the past, saudade reminds us of our passions. It stimulates new developers, new content creators, to chase their dreams. It brings more to this world. It shapes a new future with the memories of the past. Sometimes, saudade might just be the drive needed to make things better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.